many words you could use to describe Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Subtle is not one of them. Good, but not subtle. Except that is for the game's coyly hidden Easter eggs, little in-jokes and references peppered through the game that will only make sense to those fluent in Zelda's history and Nintendo's illustrious gaming past. Tears of the Kingdom contains some references so easily missed, so subtle, so sneaky, that we have to think the makers of the game just put them in there to amuse themselves rather than thinking players would ever notice. Well, we did notice, Nintendo. Here are 7 sneaky Easter eggs in Tears of the Kingdom. We're not talking about the main story here, but obviously beware some spoilers for the game.
Ganondorf likes to try to look imposing with his scary frown, intimidating six-pack and total dedication to world domination, but he's a big softie, really. The proof lies in an incredibly hard to spot Easter egg hidden inside Tears of the Kingdom. If you've played the game, you might have had the misfortune to come across a monster known as Phantom Ganon, a sinister incarnation of the Gerudo King. Beating one of these Phantom Ganons has a chance to yield some of his evil weaponry, like the Gloom Sword or the Demon King's Bow. With us so far? Okay, you'll want your glasses on for this next bit. Zooming in on these weapons of Ganondorf's reveals a tiny inscription, as seen here on the inside of the Demon King's Bow. It's a sequence of characters that's been in the Zelda series before. For instance, in the Japanese and HD versions of the Wind Waker, they are emblazoned on Ganondorf's sword, and can be translated as TOTK Koume, which are the names of the twin fire and frost witches first seen in Ocarina of Time, collectively known as Twin Rover, who are Ganondorf's surrogate mothers. This unbelievably well-hidden detail reveals 2 things. First, that the Tears of the Kingdom development team have a razor-sharp eye for details, and secondly, Ganondorf loves his parents, enough to put their names on his weapons. Aww. Taking things a step further than this sentimental dedication, it's even possible to glimpse Ganondorf's twin mothers in Tears of the Kingdom very briefly. In one of the game's unlockable memory flashbacks, 2 figures seen just behind Ganondorf are wearing red and blue garments that look extremely reminiscent of the witch's clothing as it appears in Ocarina of Time. Guess Ganondorf didn't want to show up to this cutscene without his folks there to be impressed. Mom, I'm about to conquer Hyrule. Are you watching? You're not watching!
Who wants to live in a sword? Very narrow, pointy, probably have to walk through the bathroom to get to the kitchen. No thanks. Fi doesn't seem to mind though, the spirit enlisted to guide Link in 2011 Zelda game Skyward Sword, who resides inside the Goddess Sword, a blade that later gets tempered into the Master Sword of Legend. Fi bursts out of the sword regularly, probably because it's uncomfortable in there, but also to offer Link sage advice. When she emerges and when she vanishes, she does so with a faintly electronic chime. It's like a notification on your phone, but to tell you the kingdom faces total annihilation from an ancient evil that only you can stop. Wow, and I thought Duolingo was bad. As Skyward Sword is the earliest set adventure in Zelda's increasingly baffling timeline, you'd be forgiven for thinking the Master Sword present in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom no longer has any wish or power to communicate directly with Link, especially when the famed blade gets splintered and horribly mangled in Tears of the Kingdom's opening act. But it seems the sword remembers, and when it does reach out to Link, those who played Skyward Sword with particularly open ears will be struck by a familiar chime. It's a lovely, extremely subtle touch for those up on their Master Sword deep lore, and a clear sign that Fi's consciousness remains active inside the blade, although we can only guess what her ethereal sound effects are supposed to communicate. Probably, please fix this damn sword. The bathroom was in the pointy bit.
Cooking is a very important part of Tears of the Kingdom, even though jumping off of a sky island and plummeting all the way down through a cursed hole in the earth is not the sort of thing you'd want to try on a full stomach. Bodging together bits of fruit, meat and salt that you find growing around Hyrule into health-restoring meals can also be quite a tedious process, so I'm sure we're not the only players who tend to mash the Switch's buttons to skip every single skippable second of Link's culinary adventures. Do so, however, and you risk missing an incredibly delightful Easter egg for Zelda fans. Because sometimes, while cooking, Link now hums little snatches of iconic Zelda themes from years past. They're not terribly tuneful or easy to discern over the sound of roasting food, but to the trained ear, they are absolutely identifiable. How about a little Saria song from Ocarina of Time? Perhaps a little of Zelda's lullaby to pass the time while we do absolutely everything in Hyrule except find Princess Zelda? Or probably the most bizarre revelation to come from this Easter egg, the fact that Link somehow knows his own theme tune. And while we could wish Link would hum more than just a couple of notes, the fact that what we get is so subtle actually makes figuring out what he's humming one of the most enjoyable minigames in Tears of the Kingdom. At first we thought this was the Song of Storms. But then we thought maybe it's the Gerudo Valley theme, like wait, it's the Ballad of the Windfish! Right? Plausibly? I think I need to go outside.
The best thing about Breath of the Wild was the Paraglider.
What about Prince
Yes,
Sidon?
apart from Prince Sidon, obviously. Of course, with all its sky islands, Tears of the Kingdom also has a paraglider, so that Link doesn't constantly thunk into the floor, which you get from Pura just before unlocking your first sky tower. This one has a lovely new purple look, which we love, but some folks out there may be missing the familiar design of the old paraglider. If you're one of those people, well, have we got good news for you, and a handy step-by-step guide. All you need to do to find it is head over to the Temple of Time on the Great Plateau. Climb your way up or glide down to the bell tower where the king gave you the paraglider in Breath of the Wild, and instead of a kindly bearded member of the Hyrule royal family, you'll find a chest. Crack it open and it will reveal its contents, a paraglider fabric with the Breath of the Wild pattern. Cute! Not only is this adorable enough, but if you head over to the dye shop in Hateno Village, they'll attach your new fabric to it. We love that this is hidden exactly where you got the glider last time, and that you can actually equip it for a real nostalgia hit you can carry with you. As someone who has spent entirely too much money on Disney attire, I totally get it.
Link clearly has good calcium intake, seeing as he regularly experiences this sort of thing without his bones shattering into a million pieces. One source of that sweet, sweet bone-enriching calcium is the milk that Link can pick up from Hateno Village, a location as famed for its dairy output as it is for its great, great hats. If you're guzzling down Hateno milk at a terrific rate or sloshing it into the cooking pot with other ingredients, you could easily miss this tiny, brilliant detail. The logo on these bottles of milk is oddly familiar. That's right, the milk bottles from this Zelda universe bear the same logo as that of the Lon Lon Ranch milk from Ocarina of Time. A lovely nod to a vintage installment in the Zelda series, and proof that in Hyrule some things are constant across timelines and universes. There must always be a Triforce, there must always be a hero, there must always be a little cartoon cow with a patch of differently coloured hair over its right ear. All is as it should be.
Before you go off to listen to Link hum some cute, happy, nostalgic tunes, you might want to pick up some ingredients. And by pick up some ingredients, we mean murder the local wildlife. Hyrule is full of different creatures that Link can cook up, and for the most part, when you fell one of these, they gracefully and limply fall to the ground. However, there is one set of animals that has something special up their feathered sleeves. Scour the freshwater banks of Hyrule during daytime and you'll eventually spot some cute little ducks bobbing on the water. Now, it's way easier to shoot them before they notice you and fly off, but if you do manage to get one while they're in the air, you'll be rewarded with this animation. It's at this point that fans of the game Duck Hunt will be going absolutely duck wild as they recognise the spiralling death animation of the 1984 arcade classic. And something else that'll make you all go wild, this Easter egg has been in there since Breath of the Wild.
What?
I know! Not only this, but after downing some ducks, we went after some other flying birds to compare, and holy wow, most flying birds around Hyrule will also dramatically spiral to the ground if shot. We had so much fun trying out different birds and watching them spin down like graceful ballerinas that we slightly lost track of quite how many ingredients we were picking up. Which is... oh, wow. Right, Link, hope you know some more tunes to hum because I've got about 40 drumsticks to cook up.
You can see why Zelda, despite being princess, might not want to live in Hyrule Castle. It's deeply cursed and floating several stories off the ground. And ruinous to heat. Those who really like to poke into the corners of Tears of the Kingdom will find where Zelda now resides instead, when she's not mysteriously vanishing, of course. Namely, the house on the outskirts of Hateno Village that Link could eventually own in Breath of the Wild, and fill with ornate displays of weapons and armour like the bachelor nerd he is. Explore the same building in Tears of the Kingdom and you'll find several Easter eggs referencing Breath of the Wild. For instance, if your Switch recognises that you finished the Champions Ballad DLC for the previous game, the photo of all the champions that Link can stick on the wall of his house will still be present. Cute, and presumably Zelda kept that because it's a photo of all her best friends. Well, most of them. Because there's another photo on the walls here that's a deeper cut, and for our money, a much more hilarious one. Eagle-eyed players will recognise this seemingly generic photo of a woman in a field as none other than Magda, the woman in Breath of the Wild who had such a meme-worthy response to Link repeatedly treading on her flowers. Well, Link's dead, I guess. Inform Ganondorf, he'll be pleased. Magda can actually be found in Tears of the Kingdom, tending to a garden that she and Princess Zelda were working on before the latter's mysterious disappearance, although her terrifying reaction to flower damage has mellowed in the intervening years, as you now receive only a mild bollocking for hurting her blooms.
Ah?
The photo is a pretty hilarious detail for the developers to include in Zelda's house, making it officially canon, I suppose, that the princess counts Magda, the shrieking flower woman from the last game, among her dearest friends and allies. It's not clear what Magda's actually doing in the photo, perhaps just enjoying a sunny day among the flowers with her princess pal, or watching the skies to make sure that Link isn't going to paraglide in and hurt any flowers. Don't worry about that, Magda. We've new methods of hurting the flowers now.
So those are just some of the little secret Easter eggs that we found. We found them, Nintendo. You thought you could hide them from us, but we found them eventually. Can you think of any others? Those of you watching at home, let us know in the comments below what other cool little secrets you found. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, because we do tons of Zelda stuff. And if you want to support us further, we have a Patreon where you can go and support us there and join our Discord, and we chat a lot lot on Zelda on there, so yeah, definitely come and join us for that. There's more videos here, wonderful Zelda videos, and in the meantime, have a lovely time running around Hyrule. See you next time. Bye.
What about Prince Sidon?
He's there, okay? We'll find him, Luke.